This is the Sales Drive Home. I am Dennis. I am your host for the next 15 minutes. So let's party. It's a Friday afternoon edition. And we are cruising home. So we're going to talk about something that happened today. We're going to talk about the CRM. Y'all use a CRM? I'm sure you do. So with CRM at your store, you either love it or you hate it. There's no in between. I think at one point we've talked about salespeople and CRM usage. But man, today crystallized why it's so important to get information into that CRM. So we've been tracking our target number all month, a little bit ahead. In the past week, it's steady, but it's not where we need it to be. We used a little email bulk action today, and our email capture rate's actually gone up. It's still not good, but it's better. I think all three of our manufacturers, that's one of the things, and I suppose it's everybody. It's no different with anybody else, but Ford's requiring Ford Pass activation. Of course, General Motors is you got to do your OnStar, so you need those email addresses. And with Dodge, you've got to do your Customer Connect, so they're pretty much requiring email addresses. So on sold cars, that's pretty easy. And for the most part, I think sold cars typically will end up with an email address. But it's on the prospects. Even in the BDC, you've got to just keep drilling into everybody all the time. And it's just amazing. One of the reasons that I started doing this was, but one of the reasons that we started to do this was just to kind of try and interact with some people. So we're trying to build up a library. Right now, that's all I'm trying to do is just build up a library. If you're joining me now, I appreciate it. We've gotten some views on YouTube. We've got some views on LinkedIn. Got some views out there. I just want to get some library built up so that we've got some topics we can keep going back to. But I think one of the things that I've talked about before is just drilling it in, and CRM usage. That's a slippery cat right there, because sometimes your best CRM user is not your best salesperson. So, but you've got to just keep drilling it. And the reason, because you do an email blast, and if your email capture rates, I'll ask the question, what's a good email capture rate? Should be 100%, shouldn't it? But we all live in the real world, and so let's say 80% capture rate. 80% capture rate. So let's say that right now I've got 37,000 names in my database, and out of those 37,000, this 37,000 are what I have with emails, and that's a conglomeration of a bunch of years of activity. But excuse me while I take off my mask. But if doing that email blast, it just drives it home every day, every time I do this, because you look at that number, and let's say there's 90,000 people in your database, and you've got 27,000 email or 37,000 emails. If you get that capture rate, you're consistently in that capture rate of 80%, 85%, 90%, with the goal being 100, man, that doubles who you get to contact every month for free. But it doesn't happen, and it doesn't happen because we don't make it happen. And so that is an important thing. But then the other thing that we did is, we sent out some ringless voicemail. Not a ton, but we did some. but you go through and you're trying to filter those customers. And I think a lot depends on your CRM, right? What's the first phone field that a salesperson comes to when they're filling out their information in the CRM? Because most CRMs, seem like they were built in 1982. It's still home phone. Home phone's first, and then maybe work phone second, and cell phone's third. So everybody loads up that email or that phone number in that first box that they come to, and it's listed as a home phone. So you decide to do, hey, I'm going to use my ringless voicemail service today, and instead of having 90,000 phone numbers, you don't. You get nothing, because everything's listed as a home phone. We use a couple of texting services, in each of the stores, for like service appointments. We have service appointment reminder texts that go out, service confirmations, sales appointment confirmations, those kind of automated texts that go out. And even with that in mind, even saying, look, Mr. Sales Advisor, when you put in a new customer, make sure you get that number in the cell phone so that we can use our texting service. Or if we choose to send out the random ringless voicemail or whatever, that we've got the proper information. Because to sit there and parse and say, hey, I've got 90,000 numbers in my system because that's how many customers I've got, and then trying to figure out, okay, well, wait, some of these are cell phones, some of them are home phones, which are which. It's cumbersome. It's an extra step, and in some cases it just it really limits your marketing ability. So it's interesting how everything's tied in together, right? Everything at the dealership, everything at your operation, even if you're not a car dealership, even everything at your business operation is all tied together. And if you don't have those firm processes in place, and not only in place but enforced, you spend days like we spent today trying to separate customers that had emails, trying to separate customers that had home phones as opposed to mobile phones, trying to figure out, I'll give you an example, because even in the mobile phone field, and again, it's not a bunch of the ringless voicemail that we did, but what we did is just an information call that was just strictly talking about, because we're trying to buy cars, and so it was an informational call based on the fact that we're not trying to sell you something, but we would like to buy something from you. But to sit there and say, okay, let's say I've got 1,000 phone numbers that we were using for a ringless voice campaign today. Even out of the numbers that come out of that cell phone field, when you actually go to batch that up and send it out, guess what your completion rate is? The highest I got today was 64%. So, even having numbers listed in that cell phone field, 36% of them at the best store they still weren't categorized right. It was just one of those days. It was effective. Hell, we got we set 38 appointments today, so it was effective, but it could have been more effective. And that's what's frustrating is you see some things that have the process, the wheels have come off, and it's just a constant thing. You have to stay vigilant. You have to stay on people, and it doesn't matter if it's a service advisor, it doesn't matter if it's a salesperson or a sales manager, a parts person, somebody entering that information into the system, you need to make sure that it's clean information. You got to make sure of that, because it will affect your marketing down the road. And you know what? It doesn't even matter. Let's say it doesn't matter that you were sending, if you were using Epsilon or you're using whoever, Mr. Mail Company. The same thing goes with addresses. How firm are the addresses that you're getting on customers? And again, the sold customers, fairly easy, right? You're going to verify that paperwork, you're going to verify that address, you're going to verify that information several times by the time they get out of F&I. But man, you got to just stay on it. On a separate note, I just noticed, so I have a peach here that, I've got we have a peach connection from South Carolina. Lived in South Carolina for quite a while, and lived in Georgia for quite a while, so I'm a peach fan. And you can't leave your peach in your truck all day. It's not good. So what else did we do? What else did we do today? So we set a lot of appointments today. Had a lot of activity. The email blast was good. Got some activity on that, but I didn't schedule that email blast. And that's another thing. When are you scheduling your activities? So email blast. What's the best time to send an email blast? For me, I always find, and again, I'm talking about 3 stores, and we try and filter out the duplicates. And one of the things with having multiple stores, whether it's 3 or 6 or 10, is when you're doing that marketing activity, let's say I'm sending a blast for Ford, I try and rotate those days, because invariably you've got cross traffic, right? You've got customers that were at the Ford store, you've got customers that were at Chevy and Dodge, maybe all on the same day. We worked them in all 3 stores. And so you've got to continue to purify that information. So, but when should you send out like a bulk email? I don't know. I think for me it works best, not late afternoon, but 4 o'clock for me seems to work best, because if I'm sending, say I'm sending 10,000 emails, it takes that server a while to send those out. If I start about 3:30, 4 o'clock, if I schedule my campaign for 3:30, 4 o'clock, by 5:30, 6 o'clock, everything's out. So that's a good time. I've also found that if I rotate into the morning, early morning, seems to be pretty good. Get a pretty good open rate there. And your open rate, one of the things that I've liked about certain CRMs that I've used, and it's been a while since I was on. So the current CRM's garbage. I'm not even going to talk about it. I won't say their name, because I just won't. But they suck. Previous to that, on Promax, which I like Promax because it's simple. Okay, yeah, it's kind of old school, but I like it. I like the desking tool. The vehicle search tool is awesome in there, and maybe I'm just a simple guy. Maybe that's why I like Promax, is because it's simple. It's like, boom, here's all your customer information. Here's what you need to see. Boom, you want to run a report, here it is. So, I like Promax. I think it's a good system. I haven't used it it's been about a year and a half that we've been on our current system that is going to go away here in just a few months. And then prior to that, Dealer Socket. So I like Dealer Socket. Vin Solutions is okay. But one of the things that I like is being able to send, and even on a current system you can do it, it's just not as simple, but you split up your groups. The benefit of having 3 stores is you kind of get to fine tune a little bit. And so you kind of cycle it around. Sometimes I start at Ford and go to Chevy and then go to Dodge, and then, but what I'm searching around for is what kind of subject line am I getting the better response on. So when you're sending out that bulk email, don't just say, oh, I got 10,000 email addresses, I'm going to send them all out. Don't do it. Split up your groups. Have a group of 2,000 emails going out with a subject line. See how that works. Use another test of subject line B, and it says this a little bit different. See what your open rate is, and just follow your open rate, because that's your open and click-through rate. That's really what you're interested in. I could send out, doesn't matter if I send out 100,000 or 10,000. If I send out 10,000 and I got a 10% open rate, then that may be more effective than 100,000 emails with a 0.5% open rate. So you've got to test those subject lines. So when you're doing that bulk mail, when you're doing anything, split them up. Use a section, see how it's going. Change your subject line. When you find a subject line that you're spiking on, keep on it. Use it. And especially for me, it's good because if we set up that system so that, I'm sending out a similar email in all 3 stores, then, by the time I get a store and a half done, I'm tuned in. I am laser focused. I have found the best subject line out there, and it doesn't take that long usually, but you get the idea. So, Friday night, there's no bars to go to, so I guess y'all aren't going out to party. So why don't you just email me, dennis@thesalesdrive.com. Let me know what we can talk about next. And I am at my exit, so I am out of here. I appreciate you joining me. Have a great weekend. I hope your Saturday is set up. Hope you have a set up Saturday so it can be huge. Big Saturday. Come on, people, let's do it. Thanks for joining me. This is Dennis. I'm out. Peace.